Today, Sundance and Slamdance film festivals have kicked off, but I am asking a question. I'm going to ask this question out loud. And are film festivals still relevant? Do you need to be at Sundance, Slamdance, whatnot, for your film to be considered an important movie? Okay. Uh, I think that there are more options for filmmakers at this moment. I'm going to zoom in on this and share screen with you. A filmmaker, he is mostly a producer. His name is Ted Hope. Who is Ted Hope? He is a guy who has produced some of your favorite independent films, including the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with Kate Winslet and Jim Carrey. That's just one of the films that Ted Hope has produced. He is solely a producer. He's not a writer. He's not a director, but he also develops talent. And Ted, I believe, has been a very positive force in the world of independent film. Why is he positive? Because he asks questions. And today, actually in Park City, Utah, he's doing a panel about with actually I believe it's Slamdance, called Reimagining the Film Festival, a hope for film. But this has kicked off a discussion, interestingly, about film festivals. I actually commented on this and I said that I don't know that if it's reimagining the film festival. He goes on to say, it is time for a complete rethink of film festivals. They don't work for everyone the way we wish they did. As much as I have a deep and intense love for film festivals, I think it is time to tear them down and build back the better model. Want to talk about it? And then he has a panel. Now, we're going to go through the comments. I completely believe that the Sundance Film Festival is good for a specific type of filmmaker, but not everyone. I'll say this, part of the reason Film Threat runs the way we do is because we want to support as many different types of filmmakers as possible. I'm just going to go through some of the comments here. I know some of these people. I totally agree. However, film festivals have to reinvent themselves every year. We are chameleons in order to bring the audience back time and again. And Zeke Zelker, who is a film producer who I happen to know personally, I've always said that fests should pay filmmakers. Since the festivals are making buckets of cash by screening their movies, filmmakers need more than potential. Potential doesn't pay the rent. And then you see right here that Chris Gore says film festivals are simply not as relevant as they used to be, especially for true indie filmmakers that are up and coming. I'm tired of going to a festival only to see a movie that will be playing next week on HBO Max. There are more options for filmmakers to release their movies, and a festival doesn't have to be part of the plan any longer. Heidi Van Leer, who just wrote an article for Film Threat, she goes on to say, completely agree. And when I see you at Slamdance, I'll tell you my silly ploy to help this along 15 years ago. It's so dumb. It could have worked. Great comments here. You should follow Ted Hope on Instagram. Alan, do you have any comments on this, on what Ted's talking about and the commentary?
Yeah. I mean, film festivals used to be kind of the gathering of people. Sundance, probably the most well-known of that. The important people come to Park City and they watch films. And I think even before the pandemic, the year I went, which was like months before the pandemic, you just kind of saw you saw the disinterest starting to appear. I went there and it was the film festival. The big stuff was mostly, as you say, movies that are already on HBO Max or coming to Amazon, and or already have a theater deal. And then you have all these other small films that are just begging for someone to get out of that big theater and come watch their movie. And it's the festivals only work for the big Hollywood studios. It's a struggle for the small ones. And I get it. It's these big Hollywood films that draw people to the festival. But are the festivals doing a good enough job of taking those people and then encouraging them to see other movies? I'll tell you right now, it's Wednesday, and most people have already left Sundance. Everyone who was there for the big opening weekend, they're gone. They went home. And
True.
and so now they're begging for people to interview the talent who have movies at Sundance, and to get people into those theater seats at all. And
Well,
that's kind of the state of where Sundance is right now.
Here's the problems that I have with Sundance, okay? And I will forgive them this. They play a lot of movies with big celebrities, and those get the bulk of the attention. That's not the fault of Sundance. That's the laziness of the journalists that are there. The journalists that are attending Sundance are lazy, so they always gravitate towards the celebrity-driven red
It's the
carpet.
access. It's the access they don't get at their hometown.
Exactly. So they always gravitate towards the celebrity-driven things. So a small film like The Quantum Terror or Clerks may not get the attention that it deserves. These small, true indie films that Film Threat has a history of supporting. We've supported these types of small movies. That was a good question. Go back to please star that. It went away. I don't know why it went away.
What are you talking about?
I see this thing's being starred, and I can't do two things at once at this moment. But I'll just say that, so there's a couple things. The celebrity-driven movies that take the bulk of the oxygen in terms of press and attention. That's a problem. It's lazy journalists doing that. The second thing is premiering a movie that's going to be next week on HBO Max. That's not even a joke. That happens every year. They use it. Netflix, HBO Max, among others, uses Sundance as a platform to launch certain movies. Sometimes it's documentaries. I'm not saying these are bad films. I'm saying they don't need the help. The other thing is a lot of movies that are bigger films that there's this perception that Sundance, it's like a backdoor market. In some ways that's true. In other ways it's BS. It's like a wrestling match where the outcome before the wrestling match takes place. So what happens is you see all these announcements of movies being acquired. Those movies were acquired months ago. It was kept a secret, and they announce it at Sundance where they know most of the media. Well, it'll be a front page story on Variety, The Reporter, Deadline, IndieWire. So they save the announcement for Sundance. So giving the perception that the movie sold at Sundance, when the truth of the matter is it was announced at Sundance. And again, also, that's not Sundance's fault. The fault I have with Sundance is they only champion on the one side of the political aisle a type of movie. And anything that breaks with sort of mainstream narrative, there's not a diversity of thought at Sundance. And I was hoping that there would be we'd be evolved enough to be able to showcase movies that might have some troublesome issues worthy of discussion.
Yeah. Like they would never show an honest look at January 6th, the documentary about that.
Well, or many other issues. I would say that documentary film, this is a separate topic probably, but documentary film is compromised. Documentary film is so politically divided, and most documentary films are funded by corporations pushing an agenda. What might some of those agendas be? Look around. They're everywhere, and they're funded by corporations, and I like to call it art welfare. So if there's someone in the festival space that could curate a festival with differing ideas where filmmakers could come together, I'll say this. I have done my best for years to try to keep Film Threat an outlet that if you're an indie filmmaker, meaning you didn't make your movie with a major movie studio, you are welcome. Okay.
Wasn't there a year that a film got shown? I forgot what the film was, but Sundance had to apologize for showing it.
Yeah, well, that's they shouldn't apologize. They should never apologize for something like that. Yeah, it was, and they threw that filmmaker under the bus. It was disgusting.
They got one showing and then they got the boot.
Right, but look, I love the Sundance Film Festival. Slamdance, I think, does a better job of championing the smaller indie movies. That's just me. If anything, you could look on Slamdance as kind of like a adjunct or an additional festival in addition to Sundance. But all I'll say is that festivals need to change, and I appreciate Ted Hope. I appreciate Ted Hope for leading the charge and asking the right questions. That's what I've always loved about Ted is he asks questions and he's open to ideas and he's not afraid to ask the difficult questions. Ted, I want to get you on the show.